What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Arrow. Today I want to talk to you about how to level ISoP of penetration. I don't have a full guide out yet for 327. I'm hoping to get some more gem information, but I already have a guide up on max roll from previous leagues. Not too much is going to be changing, but there are going to be some significant changes that you're going to need to look out for. So make sure you subscribe so you can see that video when it comes out in the next couple of days. With that being said, the leveling section of the guide is pretty much intact. Ranger leveling is incredibly smooth, and I have a leveling section that is tailored for this particular build that will allow you to have the least amount of respec points and the most amount of fun. So let's jump in. So when you go onto max roll, I will have this link in the description. You'll see the full guide. It is not currently updated for 327 yet, so look forward to that soon. However, you jump down to the leveling section here, and this is just the same as it was before. I may make a couple of small tweaks here and there as I continue to test this build, but it is largely intact. So let's talk about it. You're going to be starting with Galvanic Arrow, which is just really nice high damage. It's got low radius, but you're not attacking many monsters early on, so you don't need a huge AoE, but that burst of Galvanic Arrow early on feels really nice. As you click through here, through all the different levels, it'll show you when to add new gems. As you see here, we add a Shrapnel Ballista, I believe at level 8. This is going to give you some nice single target. As you click through, you get to level 12, and you see that's when we swap to Rain of Arrows. Now, why do we use Rain of Arrows over something like, say, Lightning Arrow? Well, Lightning Arrow, you want to grab projectiles early on, and your pathing is going to be a little bit different than what I do. I chose Rain of Arrows because not only is it one of the smoothest skills to level with, it requires very little targeting and has great damage. It's going to make the swap over to ISoP of penetration that much easier. A little tip for Rain of Arrows: when you are in Act 2 and you come across that corruption chamber where you basically get a free Vol Orb, use it on your Rain of Arrows. There are a couple of outcomes. It can raise the level, lower the level, or potentially give you Vol Rain of Arrows. If it gives you Vol Rain of Arrows, you struck gold. It's a ton of extra damage, ton of extra clear, and it'll make your leveling experience a lot smoother. Now, if you raise the level of the gem, you actually won't be able to re-equip it. However, at this point, you can go right back to Nessa and buy another one for something like a Scroll of Wisdom. No harm, no foul. So you're going to use basically Rain of Arrows all the way until you swap over to ISoP of penetration. We will get to the swap in a bit, but first I want to talk about the tree and the things you need to pay attention to along the way. So early on, something that's really important, Primal Spirit. This is going to solve your mana. You path to this very quickly, and then as long as you press any mana flask once every 10 seconds, you'll have that mana gained on hit. The next thing that we path over to is Precise Technique. This is a huge amount of damage that takes away our ability to critically strike. And later on, this is very important that we get rid of this. But for the start, Precise Technique is the most damage that you can grab anywhere on the tree. Now, it's important that you don't have more life than accuracy. You can check your accuracy by clicking your character tab and just looking at your main skill. It'll show you an accuracy number. If you have 400 accuracy and 300 life, you're all set. And you're going to have to make sure that you kind of maintain that accuracy number as you continue to level up. Every once in a while, just check if you're starting to get close. Make sure that you start pathing into some accuracy nodes, because if you do get lucky and get a lot of good life gear, it may throw things out of whack. But that's also why we don't take any life early on. I don't think I take a life node for, I think around level 30, I take the first life. And that's right over here. But you'll have lots of accuracy by then from various nodes, so don't worry too much about that, but just make sure that you keep an eye on it. So after we grab Precise Technique, you want to get some accuracy from this wheel here, and then we hop over to Graceful Assault. This is going to give us Onslaught on kill and increased effect of Onslaught. This is going to make us move much faster, and speed is defense. Particularly in the story, if you move quickly, you pretty much never get hit, and this will make your leveling process feel much smoother. Next, we're going to come up here and grab Burning Brutality. You can grab the attack speed and the ignite nodes if you want, or you can just take this kind of dead node here. But you get some ignite from this first node, and then you get the Fire Mastery for critically strikes do not inherently ignite and increase damage with hits against ignited enemies. I actually think I'm going to swap over. I've tested both of these, and I think I prefer the top method. Even though it's one extra point, it's extra chance to ignite and extra attack speed, so I'm going to go ahead and change that out. But the point of this is to give you a bunch of increased damage. Particularly on single target, this feels incredibly valuable. As you get into the 40s, you kind of path over here to the Inverted Mastery. You grab some more accuracy. Nothing too interesting, but you're basically trying to make your way up this direction, because when the swap happens, you're going to want to be able to get to this mine stuff up here. So you'll see at the end of the leveling process, you'll be level 70 roughly, and I start taking these mine nodes. Now, I take this even if I haven't swapped to ISoP yet, because I don't want to add any more points that I have to swap over. And generally at this point, you feel powerful enough that it's not a problem. This is a perfect time to talk about the swap to ISoP. A couple of important things here. When you swap to ISoP, you need to drop Precise Technique right away. It has to be the first thing you drop, because we are going to be crit based, and we take a lot of value from crit. So once you have things like charge mines, you're using power charges, you have a bunch of value from crit. So you want to make sure that Precise Technique is not enabled. I cannot tell you how many people came into my stream in the last couple of leagues and said, Mr. Streamer, this build has no damage. I just swapped over to IShot. It's terrible. And it's because they're investing in crit and they also have precise technique. So make sure that you drop that. So when you do the swap to IShot of penetration, you're going to drop this entire area down here, which is going to give you a ton of points to spend up top. So once you're done with this leveling page, you can come over to progression. Again, this is not updated yet, so don't worry too much about how this exactly looks, but you're going to be dropping this entire area. You immediately want to invest that into the mine nodes up top, which are going to get you a lot of critical strike chance and make those hits a lot chunkier. So what do you need to have to swap to IShot? This league has introduced the wall, which is going to make it way, way easier to swap over to IShot because you no longer need the cast on crit tornado in order to make the swap. In previous leagues, I recommended 2 5-links in the IShot gem before you swapped, but now I think you can do it on 1 5-link and maybe even a 4-link, although I don't recommend it. So if you find yourself an early 5-link, IShot of penetration is probably going to be 1C again. You can go ahead and make the swap whenever you want. However, if you decide to make the swap early, you're going to have to make sure you're doing things the right way. You're going to want to drop this stuff early. You're going to want to invest in crit early. It really isn't necessary because Rain of Arrows is so smooth, but I know a lot of people want to swap as early as possible. If you are in Trade League, do not farm lab for this gem. It is so cheap. And if for some reason tons of people play this, it is the only transfigured gem on IShot, so it shouldn't be too hard to farm. Speaking of 4-links and 5-links, let's talk about gambling. So there is a person in every zone that will allow you to gamble with your gold. You don't get a ton of gold early, so it's important to save it for the right things. For this build in particular, I think the most valuable things you can gamble for are 4-links once you reach the mid-20s, and if your bow damage is bad, weapon upgrades. So let's jump in here and just see what we can get. We currently have 970 gold. I'm level 25. We can grab a bow for 150. This is not very good, but it's not very bad. You can craft a prefix of flat damage on this, and it would probably be better than what I have right now, and it is also a 4-link. 4-links are pretty common from vendors. I'm not sure if there's some sort of like extra item luck when it comes to sockets, but it feels to be the case that you generally get more sockets linked than you would otherwise get off the ground. So another couple of items that we have that are not great, helmet and gloves. You're going to want to get as much evasion gear as possible. So you can come here and just grab a helmet. We've got a 3-link, 64 life. That's pretty good as well. So let's head over and grab some evasion gloves. Another 3-link, not better than what we have though. We can try again. 3-link, almost a 4-link. You get the idea. You can gamble and you can improve your gear significantly. And I suggest that you save your gold for when you have a chance to get 4-links and bow upgrades. Lastly, let's talk about uniques. There are not a ton of useful uniques that you're going to have in the story, but there are a couple that are very, very powerful. Number 1 is the Fury Valve. You want to get this as soon as you can once you're using IShot of penetration. And if you can snipe it very, very early in the league, if you get lucky with Chaos Orbs, I recommend doing that. It's a level 40 item, so you can use it very, very early on. And if you do manage to get one, I would swap to IShot of penetration right away. However, it's likely that Fury Valve is not going to be something you can afford in the campaign, and you're going to wait until you start heisting in order to try to buy one. If you want to know more about heisting, check out my previous vid that has useful tips on general leveling. So there are 2 other uniques that I care about for leveling, things that I might actually go out of my way to purchase, depending on how the build's feeling. Number 1 is Rampage gloves. There's a couple of different ones. There's Shadows and Dust, which I think is something in the 30s. And then there's Flesh and Spirit that you can put on at 15. Both of these gloves are going to make you move significantly faster through the campaign. And again, move speed is defense. Most monsters attack pretty slow in the campaign, which means that if you can get out of the way, you never get hit. So the other unique that I really care about that is really, really nice is Tassalio's Sign. You can put this on at level 20 and it gives you a ton of damage. The regular version gives you 10 to 20 cold damage to spells and attacks. It gives you a good chunk of evasion, some cold res, but also 40 to 60 cold damage against chilled enemies. Because we hit so often with Rain of Arrows and then eventually with IShot of penetration, every enemy is going to be chilled for most of the hits that we do to them. And this is just a crazy burst of power at level 20. And these are generally 1 to 2 chaos early on. So if you're looking to speed up your leveling, add some more damage, the Tassalio Sign is fantastic. But also, once people start heisting, they will start dropping the replica Tassalio Sign. So if you're a little bit of a slower player and you're not sprinting into the end game, these might be around when you get into the 20s and 30s. And this is a significantly more powerful version of the regular Tassalios because it gives a much larger amount of cold damage to spells and attacks here and down here as well. You can get around 100 cold damage to attacks pretty easily on one of these, and that's absolutely crazy. You throw 2 of these on and you're going to be doing a ton of damage. Now keep in mind, this makes it so your cold damage can't freeze, but early on you're not doing a ton of freezing anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. So Rampage Gloves, Fury Valve, Tesalio Sign, that's all you really need to worry about, and you'll be good to go with uniques. So that is going to be it from me. Thank you for watching this tips video. If this helped you out, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I've got more content coming this week, including a full update of the max roll guide for Ice Shot of Penetration, but I will also be updating my Ice Trap of Hollowness Trickster, as well as my Glacial Cascade Elementalist, which are both still fantastic League starters. I'm going to get this video edited and then head over to stream. Check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/AER0__. I'll be live just about every single day from here on out for quite a while. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, take care.